So the new Mario movie is pretty different. I uh I went into the theater and I got my popcorn and I got my drink and you guys notice anything different about this one?
Not necessarily.
No? No. Because I went and I sat down and I'm ready for my two Mario brothers. Love those lads. And I go sit down. There's a weird lack of kids in there. That was kind of odd, but I thought maybe it was just like the time of day that I went. Um, and then the movie starts, and I know they're Italian and all, and like they love their pasta, and they keep talking about ravioli, and I was really confused, but whatever. And then they walk outside, and I was like, this doesn't look like Brooklyn. Wasn't the first one in Brooklyn? This looks like Toronto. Like, what's up with this movie? And then they say their names are Matt and Jay. I'm like, I don't know.
It was strange. I think we had a similar experience because I don't remember. Like, it could have been a reference to some game I haven't played. Like, I haven't played Hotel Mario. Like, there's a ton I haven't. I haven't played like Mario Teaches Typing or anything like that. But skydiving onto a baseball game just felt so out of the range of what Mario is to me. I can't say it wasn't entertaining though,
Yeah.
climbing the tower and stuff is really interesting. And I find it weird that one of them has a hat, one of them doesn't. The
Yeah,
hat is
Mario had
red
Mario
one.
had a fedora in this one. That was
Yeah,
kind of weird.
I thought that was really strange.
Let's bring the fedora to the new games. Let's do Odyssey 2, but
Odyssey
Cappy's a
2.
fedora.
I'm pretty sure there must be. That's what it is. It's a reference to one of the costumes in Odyssey. I think you get
New
it.
add-on, new Switch 2 exclusive.
Yeah, the
Mario,
Switch
the
2.
Odyssey, the Galaxy, the game, the show, the movie.
Switch 2 edition.
Switch 2 edition. Echoes of an Elusive Age 11S.
DX.
Hello, welcome back to PoppedCast episode 2. Today we are diving into the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Once again, I am joined by Riley. How are we doing, Riley?
I'm good. How are you?
I am absolutely brilliant. I am chuffed, as we say over here in the UK. I'm feeling like a lad. I'm ready to get my bloke on with four lovely blokes. Today we are joined very excitedly by two guests. We have Ryan and Chris. If you both would like to introduce yourselves.
I'm Chris. I think I've been on previous podcasts when it was Everybody's a Critic talking about Doctor Who, but I'm back again to talk about Super Mario Galaxy movie, which I'm excited to talk about.
Yeah, and I'm Ryan. Yeah, lovely to be here. I love these guys. Love the work they do. I'm a journalist at my own right, and I love me some Mario. So very excited to be talking about him today.
Wonderful. So, as Mario would say, let's a go and get straight into the episodes. I'm going to try and get as many puns as I can today. I'll be like, try not to laugh. So as always, before we get into the main topic of our episode, we are all going to share one thing that we've been watching recently. It could be something that we really enjoy, something that we absolutely hated. And this week, the guests go first. So Ryan, I'm going to shoot it straight to you. What is one thing that you've watched recently?
Yeah, I've been like very, very slowly going through the Coen Brothers filmography, and I finally got around to Hail Caesar this week. And people kind of see it as like, I think its reputation is as like a lesser Coen. Like I think when it came out, it didn't really hit at all, and it kind of took off people to appreciate it. But watching it this week, I was just blown away by it. Like acting, performance wise, the way it looks. Roger Deakins shot it, and it was him. I think comes after Inside Llewyn Davis, which is my favorite Coen's Brother movie, but wasn't shot by Roger Deakins. And Deakins comes back and just kind of, pardon the crude language, but swings his dick around and says, "This is why I'm one of the greatest cinematographers alive." It looks incredible. And that like Josh Brolin is like as good as I've ever seen Josh Brolin in anything. Alden Ehrenreich, again, as good as I've seen him in anything. Channing Tatum pulls off one of the most ambitious musical sequences I've seen in a film in the last 20 years. It is crazy. It's such an. I think by that point in history, people have kind of gotten used to the Coens just making incredible films. And this one was just like, oh yeah, another one. But just viewing it in isolation, if you just watch it, it's just such an incredible achievement. So yeah, that's one for me this week.
Wonderful. Chris?
Well, HBO Max just launched in the UK, so there's like been a lot to go through. But I finished the first season of The Sopranos, which has just been a fantastic watch. Half the time when people recommend shows, I'm like, is it really going to be as good as they make it out to be? And I got through this first season so quick. It normally takes me so long to like watch just a season of television, but I got through it. It's 13 episodes, got through it so quick. Episode 5 was just not episode 5. I can't remember if it's episode 5, but there's an episode with um Tony Soprano and his daughter, which I think was just so fantastic. And Christopher is such a relatable character. There's literally a moment in the show where he's just getting annoyed that everyone's getting recognition and his name's not coming up. And he's like, when am I gonna get my time? And then there's a part where he sees his name in the news and he takes all the newspapers because his name is finally there. And I'm just like, yeah, that's me. That's how I feel 24/7. But no, I'm enjoying The Sopranos so much and enjoying HBO Max. There's so much on there that I think it's one of the few streaming services in the UK where I've got a lot to look forward to, and I've got my T-shirt representing as well. So I'm locked and loaded into HBO Max.
Incredible. Yeah, no, there's so much on HBO Max. I've not really watched a lot, but Riley, we'll jump to you before I share my little pick. What have you been watching recently?
I finally got around to Hoppers, Pixar's latest movie. Very good movie. I mean, I
Mm.
love a lot of what Pixar has done recently. I love Luca, I love Turning Red. I think they stand out as like uh, some of the best among all of Pixar's work. Um, Hoppers, I think fits in well with that. It's maybe not like my favorite, but it's like just so charming, so cute, so funny. It's Pixar doing Pompoko, um, maybe minus the ball sacks. Uh, but there's flying sharks in its stead, so that's fun too.
So I went to watch The Magic Faraway Tree right before Mario. As a fan of the books when I was growing up, and as I remember watching some form of animated serial. So I was really excited for this one to come out. It sort of had been in development for a while, and then I think they dropped the first trailer before Wicked for good. And as it's sort of as a love letter to the books and these characters, it works really well. I think the actual like if we want to go into like the full plot and the development of the characters, it's not the best, but in terms of being a feel good family film, it ticks all those boxes. So rather than looking at it critically and looking at it as a sort of a family film, it does everything really well. And you've got Claire Foy, Andrew Garfield as these parents, and there's quite a nice on-screen partnership with those two, because it's their relationship that ends up being like the core of the film's narrative, even though the film is very much about the three children and the adventures they go on up the faraway tree. Even though the kids only managed to go for like one day as a three. So I don't see it being like a franchise. I think it's very much a one and done film. I'm sure Simon Farnaby is gonna go on to do something incredible again next. Whether that's Paddington 4 or something completely different, but it's a lovely sort of family film that's if you've read the books or have any knowledge of the Magic Faraway Tree or any of those stories, it's definitely one to check out. Okay, so the main talking point now, we are going to talk all things Super Mario Galaxy movie. Just as a precursor, we are going to be diving into spoilers. So if you have not yet managed to book tickets or see the film, please do be warned. We are going to be going full in depth of plot discussion and characters and everything under the sun. So you have been warned. Um, if you want to bookmark this and come back to it once you've watched the film, then be sure to do that. Or if you are feeling brave and you're not really asked, you can continue listening. So, um, having thwarted Bowser's plot to marry Princess Peach in the first film, Mario and Luigi now face a fresh threat in Bowser Jr., who is determined to liberate his father from captivity and restore the family legacy. Alongside companions new and old, the brothers travel across the stars to stop the young heir's crusade. So, um, what was everyone's overall theatrical experience with watching this film?
I mean, for me, I watched it yesterday on the Wednesday that it came out at 2 o'clock with a friend, and it was pretty empty. Unfortunately, I think it was just like the midday thing. I was definitely the most excited person in the room, um, which is gonna happen. But yeah, it was surprisingly quiet. No one, there wasn't a lot of reaction. I knew that there were some kids in there, but it was interesting to not really get like the rowdiness that you would expect or kind of want for a movie like this, really. But yeah, that was kind of my thing. How about you, Riley?
Um, so I was like debating whether I should go see it for like the midnight release, which I don't see a lot of like midnight releases nowadays. I mean, I feel like with the rise of like preview days, which, obviously it's a holiday week, but it would normally be a Thursday. Um, we've seen a lot more like into early afternoon, but the first show times were for midnight. So it's like maybe I go then, maybe I don't like deal with like a bunch of kids screaming in there. I'm sure there'd probably still be a few, but I could go with the nerds at midnight, and I was like, no, I can't stay up that late. I'm past my prime. Um, so I ended up going the next day. I went on Wednesday afternoon. So many kids everywhere. And like normally I would get a little bit annoyed with how much like kids end up interfering with the theatrical experience. This is a movie though where I think it kind of benefits from that, and it helps me really see like this this movie isn't for me. It's not for any of us really, even though we're huge fans of Mario. It's for these kids, and they're like having the time of their lives. They're like screaming, well, not screaming, but they're like cheering. They're like quietly nerding out here and there. I hear them like talking about references like, "Oh, this is from that Mario game. This is from that Mario game." And they're just going wild for it. They're just going crazy for it. And I have to add, they were going crazy for the Minions trailer, the Minions 3 trailer. Like almost like I think I was even hooked on Minions 3. I'm like, maybe I need to go see this, even though I don't care about Minions. But I'm like, it looks fun and everyone's having fun, so like, why not? But Chris, what about you?
I feel like I had the weirdest experience compared to everyone because I attended a staff screening at my work to watch it. So it was like me and maybe like 9 to 10 other people in the screen watching Super Mario Galaxy movie at maybe midnight or 1 a.m. And I noticed throughout the entire movie, I was the only one that was like giggling and like pointing at the screen when certain things was happening. Everyone around me had like a straight face on, or they'd be like talking to someone next to them, like confused on what's going on. And I was like, I think I understand why like a lot of people online have been like quite negative on this movie because, like you said, it's not for us despite us being fans. It is just for kids. So I am very understanding of you know people just thinking that this movie absolutely sucked or it's like easily one of the worst things they might have seen this year. But I had a blast while watching it. And because View now has these like new epic screens, with these new projectors, the color was just so vibrant and like popping on the screen. So it was a great watch. I do want to watch it in a packed screen with like kids and other people because I think that will be a whole new experience to watch that movie. But yeah, no, I had a great time in my little small little exclusive screening that I had at midnight.
I was going to say for us in IMAX, there was very similar numbers to you. I caught, I think it was 11:30. And a lot of the schools around here haven't broken up yet, so it was quite literally just like just adults only. Similar to Chris, I think I was the only one laughing at some of the jokes. I found myself giggling a few times. Um, but it's very interesting. You raise a point of like watching these films that have these sort of, maybe some of them are manufactured moments for audience reactions. I think the last time I can think of a film that did this was No Way Home. I dread to think what a first watch of that film would have been like if there was like 10 people in a screen, as opposed to the real first time I saw it with a sold out crowd. So it'd be interesting in from Riley's perspective how much the film might have been uplifted by seeing it with a crowd of people that A, want to watch it, and B, who are engaged with these characters and the lore and the sort of the history. But I had a great time, other than obviously because it was in 3D as well. I did have a lovely sort of glasses mark on my face by the end of the film, um, where they'd sort of been crushed onto my face. But yeah.
I actually have like a short little funny story about when I went to see it because like part of the reasoning like I almost went at midnight with like whatever nerds are gonna go. I was like it's like I don't want to be the lone adult man who goes into a theater full of kids, you know, like not that that is inherently creepy, but like no like parents are gonna be wary of that, right? They don't want to like deal with that. So like I was like, whatever, this is the only time I'm able to go. So I went and I booked my tickets literally 10 minutes before the screening. So I'm like, no one else is going to book tickets right next to me or anything. I left like space, like a few seats space on my left side because these are reserved seating. And there's like no one on my right side. So I walk into the theater, I go walking down the row, and I see my seat empty between multiple people. There's a kid on either side of my seat, and then the parent on either side of them. And I'm like, well, this is going to be weird if I sit between these two kids, but like, whatever. I was like, maybe I just sit in one of these seats on the end and just like suck it up. Doesn't matter. And then I was like, well, no, because it's pretty crowded in here, so maybe someone booked the seats on the end. Maybe more people booked at the theater ever since I bought the ticket online. So I go, I sit in my seat, and I'm like, "Excuse me, sorry, this is my seat here in the middle." And they're like, "Oh, okay." Right when I sit down, both of the parents have their kids moved to the other side of them, and I'm like, "That's a great feeling." Luckily, the lady on my right, she was super nice, and she looked over at me, and she's like smiling, and she's like, "My kid talks a lot during the movie," and I'm like, "Oh, it's fine," because I'm like, all these kids are gonna be talking during the movie. And then the lady's like, I also talk a lot during the movie. And I'm like, oh God. Anyways, so uh what do you guys think like overall about the Super Mario Galaxy movie as it like compares to the first movie a couple of years ago?
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting approach because the first movie it was equally trying to go for that kind of thrill ride, sugar rush kind of thing, but I think it paid attention to plot a bit more, in my memory at least. I didn't rewatch it for this actually, which I should have, but I watched it like three times when it came out, so it's fine. But yeah, this one I feel like it abandons that a bit more and is more interested in kind of being a collection of vignettes that are kind of stitched together loosely by an overall destination, really. And that's what the movie kind of does. It sets a final destination at the start of the film, says, here's something that's happened, the characters are going to try and get there, and whatever happens along the way happens along the way. And it's just a collection of, you know, different little vignettes that fill the 90 minutes. And I can't really say if it's better or for worse. I guess in a classical sense, you'd say it's less of a concentrated film. But I think when you get to the core of what the Illumination Project is, this is their goal in a way. And I don't know how much you want to get into analysis right now, if I should save it for later.
No, you
Um,
can get into it.
okay, so
Yeah.
this film is a direct consequence of the invention of the endless scroll on social media. You know, this is a TikTok scroll session put onto film with Mario characters, and it's designed to activate the parts of our brains that are activated by scrolling on social media for a couple hours. And I'm always somebody who tries to meet a movie on its terms, and I understand kind of like the. It's not easy just to do that. Like some people out at this movie, they just shout it out. I'm sorry if I can't swear on this podcast. I've done it twice already.
That's fine.
My bad. Um, um, but it's not true. They put thought and care into the brain rot, but it's brain rot. It's a really fascinating thing, and I haven't written my review yet, so you're kind of getting like my unformed, uncohesive thoughts a little bit. But it's an impressive feat. If I'm meeting the movie where it's at, I'm like, okay, you did exactly what you wanted to do, and you're going to make money for it, right? You made the movie that you couldn't quite make on the first film because it probably would have been a bit too quote unquote radical um, and derogatory almost, but you couldn't quite do it then. And this time around, I think a lot of people thought, okay, they got the first one out of the way, they made their money, they've got the audience. Maybe this time around they'll do something a bit more with the plot. They're adapting Galaxy, which has this, as far as Mario games go, like a pretty decent backstory to get into. And what they actually said was like, no, 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 no. The plot in the last movie was something we, you know, put in for a crutch. We actually want to remove that and go all in on the other side of it. And because that's where the audience is. That's actually Illumination meeting the audience where it's at, right? Because the young generation that they're appealing to, they've grown up on these algorithms that kind of teach them, hey, you're going to scroll and see a bunch of different stuff for an hour and a half, and you're probably not going to remember most of it. It doesn't matter. Like even for us who are adults, right? If you scroll on social media for like an hour, how many posts that you looked at do you actually remember afterwards that you could actually recall? Yeah, exactly, like two that you might have chuckled at.
Yeah.
And watching the Mario movie feels like a similar thing. It feels like a scroll session, and they achieved what they wanted, but I don't like the precedent that it sets. Like I met the movie where it's at, but I don't like where it took me. you know, I see what it's trying to do, but I didn't really appreciate the fact that it tried to do that, or the fact that it needs to do that to get an audience. Um, but yeah, I won't ramble on
It,
anymore for you guys.
so I know we use the term like brain rot a lot now. It's everywhere. It's unavoidable. I think a better term for this I would use is just junk food, right?
Mm,
And like we kind of see it with Marvel movies, I feel like a little bit. But like we really see it here. It's a lot of like it's vignettes. It's a lot of little moments of just like things that you recognize. Not to say it's placed haphazardly. It's not. It's still strung into a story, but yeah, it's like it's junk food. It's like what you're saying. It's you're gonna watch it and you're probably gonna forget it a few days later, but you still had a good time. And as it compares to the first movie, I feel like the first movie had to do so much to justify being a movie. They had to do all the Brooklyn stuff. They had to add on all this stuff. Everyone's like, "Oh, how are you going to make a Mario movie?" Because Mario games don't like have that much story. There's not like that much to them. And they had to add all the Brooklyn stuff. They had to introduce things certain ways. They had to bring new characters on board certain ways. This one. is different, I think, in that it's not necessarily as good at being a movie. It just, by technicality, is a movie. That's it. It's Mario in a movie theater on a movie screen, and it technically is a movie, if that makes sense. I don't think that's a knock against it, but the first one is trying to actually set up a like have a whole three act structure, right? This one is a little less concerned, and for better and for worse. But Josh, what do you think?
I think another sort of metaphor for this film for the Brits, it's very much picky bits, like M&S picky bits.
Mhm.
And
I'm gonna
just
pretend I know what you're
listening,
talking about.
it's just like a little platter. You've got some cocktail sausages, you've got some Scotch eggs, you've got
Oh,
some
you mean
golden
wait, you mean a
crisps.
charcuterie board? A
Yeah,
charcuterie board.
like a snackety board.
A
Yeah,
charcuterie board. Don't make up
yeah.
words.
Picky bits. It rolls off the tongue a bit better.
Picky bits. No,
Picky bits.
you sound like a 5-year-old picky
Picky
bit.
bits. Picky bits. Even just like listening to you guys talking there, there's like, what has it been? A day since I've watched the film, and I do not think this is a reflection of my own memory. There are sequences from that film that I can't bridge together because of the pace, and I'm sure we will talk about that in a minute. The actual duration of some of these sequences, it is just an amalgamation of sequences stitched together under the umbrella of a film, which is such an interesting take. I would have loved, and I will dive into it a bit later. Me and Ryan spoke before we started filming. Those Galaxy stories, the Galaxy games, sorry, have such a linear narrative that if anything, of all the Mario games to adapt, this film had the easiest sort of narrative to tell based on the sort of source material, and for them to sort of throw that out the window and realize that actually their demographic just wants picky bits, that they're gonna sort of throw it all out the window, and I think it suffers from that massively. Um, I'd have loved to have seen an actual three act structure to this film, a bit like the first one. But unfortunately, the result that we have, is I still enjoyed the film. Do not get me wrong. On the sort of at the base level, this is a Mario film. It's got characters. It's got sort of Easter eggs, references, story beats that make it very Mario. It's great, but at the same time, as a film, so yeah, but it has its strengths, but then I think the weaknesses bring it down to a sort of it's okay level. What about you, Chris?
I've got kind of something like everything you lot said, I agree with. I liked Riley's comparison to junk food because I saw a post not long ago where someone was like, Illumination is like McDonald's. Kids love it, parents tolerate it, and it makes them money. And I think that's just what these Mario films are. And with like what Ryan said, the first film is very like it has to introduce these characters, this world. It has to have that three act structure to work properly. And whether it's like an underdeveloped story or thin storyline, it still has that compared to this movie where it's just stuff happening in the film. It's just random things happening. And like you mentioned, Josh, I can barely remember what order some things happen in. I've asked numerous people. I asked you yesterday about what because I could not remember what happened to that character in the film. It seemed like they were setting up something, and I just can't remember at all what happened with that character. But I can't lie and pretend I didn't have a great time. I enjoyed myself watching this film. It does feel a bit messy because things are all over the place. Things are just kind of happening because they can happen and they want it to happen. There's a Yoshi Island reference where they're running away from a T-Rex, and it's like, what does this add to the whole narrative of the film? Absolutely nothing. But did I enjoy watching that sequence? I had a great time watching it. Like you said, Mario Galaxy, one of the most linear Mario games, alongside obviously like Odyssey. And they somehow failed to bring that into this movie format. You know, a lack of Princess Rosalina, a lack of the Lunas. It's just very much it's the most loose adaptation of Mario Galaxy you can get. All it really is just they've expanded the world and broadened it so that they can have this like big spectacle of a movie. And part of me can appreciate it, understand it, and part of me is still like annoyed at how it's turned out.
As much as I would love to like have just a straight Mario Galaxy adaptation, I almost feel like in a sense we're lucky to have it be as close as it was. I mean,
Mm.
look at the first movie. The first movie wasn't adapting anything specific at all. Like I said, the priority was how are we making it a movie? What's going to justify it being a movie? And in a sense, you're picky bits, whatever. Uh,
It's
in a
catching on.
sense, in that first movie, they're pulling like, okay, what is Mario known for? Okay, we're gonna do a Mario Kart sequence. Okay, we're gonna do like a little training sequence that's like the 2D films. And in a sense, the first movie is that, but built into, okay, what's going to make a good movie? Whereas here, like, we at least got an adaptation of something. Like the bones are there. They might be bare bone, they might be dry bones, dry bones, but the bones are there. And like, I'm glad they still pulled from little places here and there. They pulled from Mario Odyssey, they pulled from all these things. But yeah, I mean it's still there a little bit. Um
Yeah, but I feel like so I'd also like to establish that I smiled a lot throughout this film. Like for as much of a downer as my whole thing was, my whole document was, like I smiled a lot, and you guys will probably know the exact moment where I screamed as well in the movie. But like I feel like that creates a conflict in me where I'm like, I don't think this is good. Like the McDonald's thing is really interesting because if our job here was just to eat McDonald's and go home, you don't think about it. But our job here is to criticize McDonald's. Our job here is to analyze McDonald's, and it doesn't stand up to any analysis or or criticism, right? It doesn't. But that's not its purpose in that industry, right? Film is slightly different because film is political in every sense, I believe, anyway. And I think that every film has a political purpose, especially when it comes from a big corporation. So when I think about the fact that I smiled a lot during the film, and I think about the fact that I can wholeheartedly say that it is junk food, I think who benefits from enjoyable junk food? Does the audience benefit? Not really. Like I smiled for a bit, but what really benefits audiences are films like Spider-Verse. And not everything can be Spider-Verse, but the highest standards benefit audience. Better art benefits audience. Um, so who benefits from a lower expectation? Who benefits from the lowering of standards? It's the corporation. It's fascists. That's who benefits, and that's why it feels icky with the film. And that's why, well, I'll talk about that later. But that's why it feels quite icky to be like, oh, I'm supposed spoiling, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I screamed when the Pikmin jumped out of that fucking ship. I screamed. No one else in the cinema made a sound. I yelped and I grabbed my friend's shoulder. I was going nuts. But I, I was a bit like, reflecting on that. I'm like, oh, that's what they wanted, and I fell into the trap. It doesn't feel like you walk out of something like um Proton Mary, right? And you kind of punch in the air, like, yeah, because the movie made you feel good, and you're like, man, I'm okay with like the amount of artistic endeavor that went into that film. I'm like, yes, great. Like, there's stuff in the movie I don't quite like, but there's stuff in the movie that I'm like, that's awesome. When I walked out of this one, I was felt a bit like after you eat a McDonald's, and you're like, I enjoyed it, but now I just feel like crap a bit. And it's like, well, I don't really want this to be celebrated, if I'm have to sit there and criticize it, I have to talk about this. It's difficult not to. It's I wish there was the coward's way out where I could just say, "Ah, oh, Luigi was on the screen. I was really happy. It's my boy." But I can't because it's my job to be like, let's think about this a bit deeper than you know what they want us to. Because in an ideal world, Universal they don't have critics seeing this film. Like we're all critics. Did any of us get into screenings for this film from the
No.
studio? No. And that says something. I think anyway.
Well, to add to that a little bit, like you got to remember also that they have their new theme parks that they're promoting,
Yeah.
which I was actually surprised. Like I forgot about that completely. I came out of that, and after a bit ago, after a while, I was like, oh yeah, they have the theme park. And I'm like, they didn't really lean into anything from that specifically, but they did have Yoshi. I mean, like they
Mm.
have things in there to make you like want that. They want you to get more and more junk food.
Like just to compare it to McDonald's one last time, this idea that this film is junk food. In the moment, you think, oh, this is great. I'm having a great time. Every time with junk food, especially McDonald's, you finish it and you're left wanting more. It's not, it's satisfying in the moment, but actually, once you've consumed it and you're sat there at the end, you think, it could have been more, it could have been better. Um, that's a great junk food analogy.
Could have been Burger King. Better than
Mm,
McDonald's.
could have been Five Guys.
Oh yeah, Five Guys, 100% better. Yeah.
I mean, I was going to quickly say because obviously you mentioned the like the theme parks and everything, and obviously I've noticed with Super Mario is it feels like at this point these films exist just to release more Mario games or more Nintendo games. That first film came out, Donkey Kong had like a whole new redesign, and we've gotten a whole brand new Donkey Kong game. This Mario game's come out. The Mario Galaxy games have finally come to the Switch. We've got a Yoshi game coming out next month, and there's the possibilities of a Star Fox game after the last one on the Wii U. So it just feels like it's a way for these films to just market these characters and to just make more games and make more money. And I do think it's working for them. So it's like if a third one comes along, more likely a third one will come along. It's probably just gonna be another way to market whatever characters are central in that sort of game. And I don't know if I think it's the great way to go about it, but it goes back to what Ryan kind of said about like it's all like a business standpoint way of thinking. That's just kind of what they care about the most, more than anything. So yeah, that was like my final point on that.
So getting further into like maybe the story and pacing a little bit. Obviously, we've like all kind of agreed it's a lot of like little vignettes, but the beginning of the movie is a little bit weird to me because it's a very fast movie, but the very beginning feels like it's almost like running in place a lot. It's I think it's the cuts between the different characters. We have like all these different characters in different places and it keeps going back and forth between them and it feels like almost like you're not getting anywhere for a little bit. And like that's kind of my biggest issue with the pacing. I don't know, Chris, if you have any more thoughts on that.
When you say that, the first thing that came to mind is the film to me doesn't really kick off until literally they land in the Honey Hive Galaxy. I think before that moment, it's just a lot of like you said, we're in the same place, we're not really moving. It's like cool, Princess Peach has gone to help. These lot are helping. Like the little montage of them helping around was cool and all, but it's like it doesn't. The story's not progressing. Nothing's happening. We've been there for maybe 20 to 30 minutes, and yet nothing's really kicked off yet. So I do kind of agree with that. But from the Honey Hive Galaxy moment onwards, it's like this speed rockets to the finish line. Which once again, I don't have the biggest problem that it does that because I enjoyed what I was seeing all the way through that moment. I think the one thing with the story that I was upset the most about, I don't know if anyone else can agree, is to do with Bowser and his son's relationship. At the start of the film, you got Bowser kind of having this redemption arc, kind of feeling bad about kind of what he's done, becoming friends with Mario and Luigi and everything, and then even wanting his son to not kill them and use a completely different weapon. And then all of a sudden, there's like a 180 switch to him just being back into a villain wanted to kill them. And I feel like I don't mind that because I don't want to fully redeem Bowser in my Mario film. I do want to see villain Bowser, but I would have preferred like a slow, turn back into, a villain and stuff. And even Mario says like maybe like, oh, I can't remember the line he says, but he's talking to Bowser and it's just about, him teaching his son and maybe showing him in the right direction. And I just kind of wanted more of that with Bowser and his son, and it just feels like the movie forgot about that halfway in. So that was like my biggest gripe with this film in terms of the story.
Yeah, very similar issues to you guys. I think Riley's right. The start of the film's very strange, where you are setting up the individual journeys of all the characters, because you will see like Peach on a different path to Mario and Luigi, on a different path to Bowser, on a different path to Bowser Jr., on a different path to Rosalina, and Rosalina's path is staying in one place. um, but yeah, and there are a lot of sequences in this film that feel that they don't really serve a purpose. Like, I found it interesting the way the film introduces Mario and Luigi, because I don't think their characters really shine through in that sequence at all. Like, you have them biking through the Sand Kingdom on the way to fix a problem, and the whole sequence really just boils down to Yoshi's here now, say hello to Yoshi, and he's just part of the crew. They don't really interrogate
Yeah.
anything. They're always like, "Hey, he's cute. He can come along," which happens in Super Mario World. You just ride the guy, and then you send him to his death. That sounded bad, but the, the fact that you get Mario and Luigi kind of doing tricks on their bikes through the Sand Kingdom. It's like, okay, they're more confident in their stuff now, and then they're wearing these costumes, and then they ditch the costumes to get the Fire Flower, and then they remember, oh wait, Luigi's meant to be like scared and stuff, isn't he? And then Luigi gets scared, and then Mario's just there, kind of thing, and then they both get scared of Yoshi. It's just like very muddled, and it's like they haven't. It feels like that's like a microcosm of everything in the film, where the basic level of care isn't taken. And I mean that in a character and story sense, because I think visually I think it still looks pretty great. Like, I can't really quibble with any of the visuals. I don't think there's any part of this movie that looks bad. It's bright and it's colourful, and how many blockbusters look bright and colourful anymore? To be honest with you, animation obviously is a bit of a cheat code in that sense, but for as much shit as I personally have given Illumination over the years, like, I can't quibble the way either of these movies look. I think they look great. But on a basic character level, it feels like they just haven't taken that basic care. And that makes it difficult to really buy into the film and buy into the story and the pacing, right? Because at that point, I'm like, haven't we been given a reason to want to follow this movie in any detail? And that feels like the movie signposting, like, hey, don't think about it. Just go. Just sit. We will show you images. You might recognize some. Have fun. You
Don't
know,
try to understand it, feel it,
yeah, just
Tenet.
the tenet thing. Yeah, I mean, they don't even explain what a galaxy is in these films. They don't explain the fact that planets are just like little balls you can just run around on, or
I don't know
anything.
if you I don't know if you thought about this, but like I was thinking about as they're like just using the like slingshot star, whatever it's called. I'm a fake fan, I
The
guess. I
boost
don't know.
star, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. As they're using that to fly up into space, no one's going, "Oh, we don't need a helmet to breathe. We don't need a helmet to breathe." Like
Yeah.
I was kind of shocked they didn't like have to like insert any exposition or anything about that, but
But that would slow it down. Like, that's the
yeah.
thing. That's like
Mhm.
you don't think about the TikTok you're watching. You just think it ends and you go to the next one. You
Yeah.
know, you just scroll, you just scroll, and that's what this movie feels like.
I think there is a better version of this narrative, and I think the most forgetful sequences, there's two just that I can remember, thank God, that really stand out is the Honey Hive Galaxy with the 2 second cameo of Issa Rae
Mm.
and the whole dinosaur, whatever you want to call that. If I could compare the dinosaur sequence to any sequence in any film, it felt very much like the Ice Age films where we leave the crew and we follow Scrap for about 2 minutes. It felt very much like a little Scrap mini arc within the film that it was just there to go, hey, look, we've got baby Mario, baby Luigi. Um, it just feels so out of place. And I think there is a better. I think my biggest issue overall was Bowser. I think he's completely misunderstood in this film. There's no clear direction, as Chris was saying. Um, you could have done so much more to have him going from this sort of semi-ally to Mario Luigi to being full-blown villain again. And I think a big part of the issue for the writers was they needed to reunite Bowser and Bowser Jr. and they've just gone, oh, let's have him stay with the Bee Queen, the Honey Queen, and he'll just get randomly picked up out of nowhere. It doesn't feel earned or anything. I think there's you could have done something more with the correct me if I'm wrong, whatever the casino location is, you could have had a really strong second act face off between Wart, Bowser Jr., and Mario, Peach, Luigi set in that sort of location where Bowser is still with them. Something could happen where Bowser turns on them or that he misleads them, and then he's reunited with Bowser Jr., and then they're sort of separate. The good guys, the bad guys are separated again. Um, because like the whole stuff with what happens, and Chris was saying to me yesterday, like where does he go? What happens with him? He just sort of the film forgets about him because he's served his purpose, and I'm gonna do the thing again. We've swiped past him. We're not worried about him anymore. So just from a narrative standpoint, this film falls flat at like literally every hurdle. Um, but maybe that's just the cynical part of me that wants a beginning, middle, and end to my stories, but I feel like it's not hard to change parts of this film to better suit that. Um, but yeah, that's my two
Can I
pence
just
on
So
say,
Bowser.
yeah, go ahead,
can I
Chris.
just say that because I remember in the cinema, I was up. It was like an all-nighter for me, so I thought I was gonna like fall asleep. I didn't, but that scene where Bowser's in the prison in the Honey Hive Galaxy to where he's reunited with Bowser Jr. I had looked away for a moment, and suddenly he was with Bowser Jr. I thought I missed a whole entire scene, but it just happens so quickly. It's like a blink and you miss a moment. And you bringing it up, just Josh, just remind me that like there's nothing to bridge those two moments really together. It's just he's at this prison not even for that long, and immediately Bowser Jr. has taken him. We've moved on to the next thing now.
So I this conversation is going so different than what I thought it how I thought it would go. Um, the biggest narrative strength that this movie has is Bowser and Bowser Jr., in my opinion. It's actually, I think, the only narrative strength the film has. The bar is on the floor, the bar is low. There's nothing there. Like we've been talking about TikTok moments, we've been talking about swiping. It's all these little things, whatever. No, the Bowser and Bowser Jr. thing is the only thing tying anything together. I do see it as a complete arc, unlike what you guys are saying. It is fast. So there is a fast turnaround. That is true. Him ending up with the Bee Queen and then him getting taken by the UFO. That's really fast. It's dumb, but like there's no other. I mean, your idea of like the casino thing of like, oh, he runs into him, that maybe feels a little more natural. But other than that, I think actually the emotional aspects of the arc feel natural. I fully believed at the beginning, like he was faking the being nice thing. Like he keeps going back and forth, right? And I thought, oh, he's like, oh, they let him be big again, and so he's gonna like be all mean. And then he wasn't. And then he actually stayed at the Bee Queen, and I was like, oh, he has some ulterior motive. No, he didn't. He just literally just helped them. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then Bowser Jr. takes him. And I was like, oh, cool. They're gonna do some lazy thing where they're like, oh, Bowser is just evil again now that he's like not around the people who like, support him in the best way. But no, it was like actually there's like that cute little puppet sequence, which was really, really cool. I liked that a lot. Where Bowser Jr.'s whole like thesis of that is family matters. Family is always going to be around. Friends won't and can stab you in the back, which is like, that's obviously it's not necessarily true, but that's a pretty like I feel like a pretty solid point for him to make. They could have gone with something so much more shallow. They could have like not even given any sort of reason. They could have just been like, "You're with me now. You're evil again." But it was like he actually gave a reason. And so seeing that switch and seeing Bowser be like, "Oh, they're betraying me." Like I actually thought that that was pretty like legible. It was like pretty good. Um I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'd call it a complete arc, but it's the only attempt at one for sure.
Yeah.
Like, no one else really gets that kind of attention and care paid to them. But yeah, it's an actual perspective from the film that lacks any consistent perspective at all, really.
Hmm.
Because there is really nothing else in the film that feels like a point of view from a filmmaker, other than that whole thing with Bowser. Um, and it is a quite crude way to get Bowser to be villainous at the end, because at the end of a Mario movie, you want Bowser to be the villain, and it gives us that great dry Bowser moment, which like it's one of the coolest designs of in the Mario universe of dry Bowser. I think it looks great. It's really cool, and to get that, that's what they did. But yeah, it's definitely. I did forget actually about that puppet sequence. And for a movie that we've been complaining about going too fast and not caring about its characters, did need to have that. You know, that's actually an attempt at character. So credit where it's due, even if it is very minimal credit. For the sake of balance, you can't ignore that. So fair enough. Like that's genuinely something they tried. Also, the casino thing was that meant to be New Donk City? Because I swear the music did Jump
The
Up
music,
Superstar.
they were doing Jump Up Superstar. I don't even know. I don't think it was supposed to be,
Oh,
but
why was it like
I don't know. I was
It
confused
was
by
hidden
that.
inside the Gateway Galaxy or something like in the
it was like
underground.
underground, but it
That
Yeah.
it feels so weird to be like, oh yeah, there's a whole city underground, not just a casino. There's a whole city underground, and we're not going to show anything more about it.
and it's New
Yeah.
Donk, and it's like New Donk coded, and it's
I
like
get,
oh,
yeah, I guess.
I was
Yeah.
thinking, oh, is Pauline about to show? Like, I was thinking like, they're going to do some of that, and then we do see Donkey Kong in actual New York
Yeah.
during Yoshi's bit as well. Even as like a Mario fan, it's just confusing. Like it's the fan service of like, oh, maybe this is that, but it's also just even more confusing. Yeah, bizarre film, man. Really weird.
So I have like one more main point about the story.
Mm.
I think it's that the for being the Super Mario Galaxy movie, the movie does not want to be a Mario movie at
Mm.
all. It doesn't want to like it does not want Mario to be the main protagonist. It's not interested in it. And I think that's for multiple reasons. Like quite frankly, I'm in the camp of people who thinks like Chris Pratt as Mario is fine. He does the job. He's fine. It's inoffensive in my opinion. It is what it is. He does okay. But it's so weird in a movie full of all of these other stars who are like they're like you look at Glenn Powell as Star Fox, and it's like that's really cool. That's sick. You've got Benny Safdie like fully selling Bowser Jr. and Chris Pratt is still just some guy. But on top of that, the movie it just doesn't want to it doesn't want to follow Mario. Like it feels like it would prefer to follow Peach, and I think it's actually stronger for that. Um, I think you were saying earlier that like Mario and Luigi in that first sequence on the motorbikes, they go and they find Yoshi and they're both kind of just there and then they both just kind of accept Yoshi. It's not about being a Mario movie. It's about all of the characters that Mario can bring in who are going to be more interesting than him, but it's weird that he is the least interesting person in the room. It's so strange.
It is.
Can I add one last
Sorry.
point to your Princess Peach thing? Because the
Yeah.
person I watched it with next to me said this feels like it was a Princess Peach movie. And the fact that the movie starts off with Rosalina trying to read this Princess Peach story, and then the reveal of them being sisters, it does feel like, that is the character we're supposed to be following this entire film compared to like Mario. Like Mario doesn't get any development in this film
And
whatsoever as character.
and not only that, but she's gonna read the Princess Peach story, and all the Lumas are going, "No, tell us about the plumbers." It's like almost like that's what the
Yeah,
fans are, you know?
literally.
Yeah, this is actually exactly what I was going to say, Chris. Yeah.
But as far as those like characters go, those really strong characters with like Fox McCloud, and like even Yoshi, Donald Glover's Yoshi is great. Like I knew he would be, and he still was, and they maybe didn't use him to the extent that they could have. Like at the very beginning of the movie, he's like great, he's fun, he's kind of just the star of the show then for like what feels like. I don't know. It feels like a streaming show almost. Like we keep going back to this thing of like TikToks or whatever, but it feels like a streaming show, a bunch of little episodes. And yeah, so Donald Glover is Yoshi. He's great towards the beginning. He's less on the limelight later when again there's more interesting characters now. But like what characters, especially the new ones, who stuck out to you guys the most? Like Josh.
I, 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 I will say Yoshi. I think that first sequence where we get his backstory to how he's ended up in that temple is really fun. Um, you see him making his way through Brooklyn and he's got his little swagger. He's I just think he's a very fun character and there was obviously there's not a lot you can do with Yoshi other than he will go balam or whatever he does with his tongue. He can eat things, lay eggs. It's just a very funny character. If I had to pick another one, I do really enjoy Fox McCloud. As a person that only knows the game by name and very little to know, is a really fun character. And for a Mario film to have a character from outside the sort of lore, I'm assuming Fox McCloud has never appeared in anything sort of with Mario outside of Smash. It's
Yep.
a really interesting take to have someone outside of this world take such a big part of that final like narrative. But Glenn Powell is a superstar. You know what I mean? He's a great actor. He's a really good voice actor as well. A lot of it takes a lot for a voice actor to have presence in a film that already has such huge actors in the cast. But he has so much he clearly has so much fun in this role, and obviously the behind the scenes story of how he's got the role as well really adds to it. So I think Yoshi and Fox for me were like my two sort of MVPs, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, go on, Chris. Go on.
Sorry. Um, no, I feel like we're probably gonna sound like broken records, but like Fox McCloud, I've got to agree. I think as a new character is the highlight because he's not a cameo character. He's a character. He's part of the story. I loved his introduction. I love the 2D animated like origin that they did for him, getting to see his crew, how he got here. He has a goal in this movie. He wants to get back home, but he's willing to help them. Seeing him fly the Comet Observatory is just one of the coolest things I've seen. The Luma's wearing the jacket. Like I enjoyed everything about Fox McCloud in this film. Like you said, Glenn Powell does an insane job of voicing the character. I think Glenn Powell is just charismatic, no matter what role he's playing. So yeah, Fox McCloud is easily one of the things I just love. One of the new characters that I loved about this film, but like also Yoshi, Donald Glover done great as Yoshi as a character. But I wanted to ask, does Yoshi ever do like the little waddling thing he does in the games where he's like floating in the air for a little bit in this film?
No, I
Nope.
don't think you
I
did.
think he did it once.
Did he?
I think so. At least according to one of the kids yelling behind me, they're like, "You did the flutter jump!"
Did he?
Like literally, like
Oh, I don't
these
remember.
kids are calling out every single move happening. Like they know their stuff. It was
I need to
crazy.
rewatch it. I need to rewatch it. But yeah,
Does he do it
yeah,
after
go.
the blue whatever the power up is from Galaxy 2?
Oh,
Does he
like
do
when
it
he
then?
lands,
I don't
maybe.
know.
Maybe, maybe. But
Maybe.
no, you were so right about Fox. He pops, like that character just pops off the screen, genuinely. And it's the one character in these films where they're not banking on you liking them just because they're there. They are like Mario. You like Mario because it's Mario. You already have a connection. You already have a connection to every other character cast in this film. Fox is the one person where they had to do work to be like, no, this guy's actually cool. You've never heard of him, but he's actually really cool. And Glenn's performance really helps bring that out. He's so charismatic. And you watch the guy and think, yeah, this guy is cool. I would watch a movie of this guy, you know? But if it was the other way around, say like the universe flipped upside down and Star Fox was a really popular character and it was the Star Fox movie and Mario was this niche guy and like Mario pops in and it was this Chris Pratt Mario. Oh god, I'm gonna say Mario. Anyway, if he, you guys confuse me. If he pops into a Star Fox movie, you're like, who the fuck is this wet blanket? Like, who is this guy? Why are we spending time with this dude? He has a dumb red hat. What's going on with his costume? He looks so dumb.
He's
But
a
you look
plumber,
at
like what? Yeah.
exactly, yeah. And then, but the other way around, you look at Star Fox. This was like, this guy's cool. He's a pilot. He has a cool ship. He's from another universe. He has a cool 2D animated thing. Slippy Toad is on the movie screen. I went to a movie. I went to the cinema. I paid for a ticket, and Slippy Toad was there. Weird. But yeah, like he actually pops as a character because he's the only one where it's like, no, we need you to actually care about this dude, which sells. And I would 100% watch the hell out of Star Fox movie. I just wish it wasn't Illumination.
So
But yeah,
I think it's clear. I mean, maybe not. Maybe it's just me. I think it's clear that there is definitely an intention to make a Star Fox movie.
absolutely. The post credit
Yeah.
scene.
Because the way they introduce him, like with everything having to be so like being so frenetic, just like all about your being a sensory experience, not having to be emotional at all. Like they actually give him an introduction. They actually explain everything. They
The
do
movie's fucked.
exposition in this 2D animated sequence.
Yeah.
And they explain that he came from another universe. They don't have to describe any of these things. They could have just been like, "Oh yeah, he's some fox who's in this universe." Like they didn't have to explain anything. They explained it anyways, and then of course, spoilers and stuff. We're already doing spoilers. In the post credits sequence, we see it explained away that he's going back. So like it's obvious. It's there. And I'm like I'm so here for it. Obviously, I'd be excited if it was a different studio, but there's still a lot of promise there, I think.
I'd
This might be a
also
hot take.
go on,
Oh,
Chris.
sorry. I was gonna say
Sorry.
this might be a hot. No, there might be a hot take, but while you were speaking, Ryan, for some reason, Deadpool and Wolverine flashed in my head, and it's like while that film has like more of a narrative structure, I guess this film does a better job in having these cameos or having these characters fit into the film than Deadpool and Wolverine ever did.
Mm. You're 100%
Yeah.
right. Yeah, yeah. Because none of them felt like the characters in Deadpool and Wolverine, they were jokes. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, isn't it funny that we brought back Channing Tatum and he sounds like this? Isn't it cool that Blade's here? But yeah, like Fox isn't a flashy cameo, really. Like, I kind of get why they revealed him beforehand to let people know that, by the way, this guy's important to people because he's not someone you're going to recognize off the bat. It's not like they brought in, it's not like it was Waluigi, where it's like, oh no, people know already that this is an important character. It's him showing up and being like, like I'm real. I can hold the screen by myself. You wouldn't mind if no one else was here and it was just me. And guess what? In 2028, that's what you're getting, you know?
Um, so with let me think. Sorry. You might have to just cut this.
It's all right.
Ah,
Just before I will say, whether or not we get that Star Fox film, I would absolutely love it. And like, obviously, if it's Illumination, I do not see this happening. A fully theatrical 2D animated film in that style, I would be all over that. Like one of the highlights of that film is when it just goes 2D. It's so stylized. It looks great. Um, so yeah,
yeah,
give me more 2D animation, please.
yeah.
And then also one character we didn't really touch on, Rosalina. Obviously, she's not there as much as we would like, but Brie Larson was like surprisingly charismatic as her. like I was kind of caught off guard. I know she gets a lot of crap online for like, oh, her Captain Marvel performance is so stiff, and like I think people give her way too much on that. But like I was a little bit taken back by like how charismatic she was. And I know she's also a Metroid fan, and a lot of people would love her to play Samus in a movie. But I mean, maybe we get a dual cast, but also maybe we give it to someone else because she's like just great at being Rosalina, and I would love to see her be more Rosalina.
Like, you know what the common factor is between the three characters you mentioned with their voice actors, Rosalina and Yoshi and Fox, is what I've read online with these interviews is really know how enthusiastic Brie is about Nintendo, about Mario. Like she loves it so much that it's kind of part of her life. And both Donald Glover and Glenn contacted Illumination after watching the film to, want to be a part of this to play these characters. And I think it says a lot when you listen to them in this film compared to like anyone else like Chris Pratt maybe that like they care about the movie that they and they care about these characters that they're voicing. It's something that I just noticed when comparing the different voice actors in this film.
Yeah, and I
Yep.
think I didn't get to touch on Donald Glover, but I think it's such a relief that he doesn't speak in sentences. Like it would have been so tempting for them to kind of have it as a fake out, where like he just speaks in Yoshi language for the whole movie, but like in the final act he says like a full human sentence or something as like a gag. Like I could see that coming, but they never did it, and that's genuinely impressive. That's like if they made the
Hmm.
Zelda movie and Link didn't speak, you'd be like, fair enough, bold choice, like you did it, you know. And it's like if they cast Chris Pratt as Mario, and he just said let's go. And he just did the voice clips. Donald Glover just did the voice clips, and I think that's really cool. Like they cast a huge celebrity just to say Yoshi, and it's great. That's really cool. I love that.
Yeah, and yet again, everyone is just like dunking on Chris Pratt. Like he's doing nothing. Everyone is just full sending. He's doing nothing. But now like getting into some of the characters that maybe didn't show up in the film, I think there's a lot of big omissions. Obviously we had a couple more cameos that we didn't really touch on that were like all fighters from Smash Bros. We had Rob. You did mention the Pikmin earlier.
Mr. Game and Watch.
And then we had Mr. Game and Watch, which again, such a
Crazy,
crazy thing to have just
crazy.
these young 6-year-old kids in a theater screaming, Mr. Game and Watch. It's like, what is this? What is happening? What reality am I in? But yeah,
The Dark Souls
I
Dragon
also,
from Odyssey.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I also feel like there's other Smash fighters that should have been here. And like they should have been here because they would have fit just as naturally as some of these. That being Samus, which there was an Easter egg of her ship
yeah.
um in the movie. But yeah, Samus and Captain Falcon even like there's all these different characters. If you avoid Pokemon, which it's just not going to happen. If you avoid Zelda and you avoid Fire Emblem, I think generally everyone else there's so much to play around with that you could even just have people in the background. Like obviously they've done Little Mac, I believe.
Hmm.
I can't remember who else they've done or just like kind of in the background. They could have
Ice
done more
climbers
of
would be
that.
cool to see in the background
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
Smash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like Kirby's another one because Kirby is its own planet, planet pop star. And, like you just kind of have that be one of the galaxies that they go to. Um, yeah, and you could, yeah, like you said, background characters like Waddle Dee could just be walking about. In some ways, I'm kind of relieved that they saved some of the actual Mario characters. Like
Mhm.
they kept Wario and Waluigi in reserve, which is a relief to me because you want some meat on the bone for future movies. I'm glad that Bowser Jr. was the antagonist here because he's a major character, but not like a major character. Um, but yeah, I'm quite satisfied with cameo wise, and that might be because I'm a massive Pikmin nerd. Talk about characters that popped off the screen, right? Everyone when we left the movie couldn't stop talking about this. Couldn't stop talking about this. Why are they in Olimar's ship? That's what. Okay, sidebar. The Pikmin arrive at the Gateway Galaxies in Olimar's ship. The Pikmin in the Pikmin games, they don't leave the planet. Olimar leaves. The Pikmin stay is riding on the they stay on the planet, and that's really confusing to me. Did the Pikmin learn how to fly a spaceship? Because I don't think that's allowed. Like, I don't think that's like I don't think that should be a thing, and it's kind of law breaking in a really interesting way. And the one thing that it might kind of solve it is if Pikmin 5, if we ever get it in 2048, you know, what if we do leave the planet and the Pikmin do go? And this is like some kind of seeding for that. But
Right, right, right,
I
right,
don't
right.
quite understand it. I know that
Yeah.
Pikmin can do anything in Miyamoto's mind, like they're in Mario Wonder now and stuff. But I like putting them in the ship is just insane to me. Like if they were in like an onion, then maybe. But in in Olimar's ship, I think it's insane. Like I think they're crazy. I just don't
You're
understand what they were
you're
thinking.
like you're like that image of Charlie Day on what
Yeah,
is it Always Sunny where you like you got the board behind you. You're just going crazy about the lore breaking. Like the lore breaking about Pikmin, about the thing that was in it for a split second. I
yeah.
guarantee you there's more lore breaking, Mr. Cinema
It,
Sins.
it changes everything.
Um Josh, how do you feel about like what characters were there versus what weren't? Do you think there was any like missed potential or anything?
I just think you could have had again, I'm just very Super Mario Galaxy coded. You could have had a really funny gag somewhere in this film with a hungry Luma who is either starving or, I think do something like Wreck-It Ralph 2 with the bunny eating the pancakes and the milkshake, whatever it is. Like, I think when I think of the Mario Galaxy games, you think of the Lumas, you think of Rosalina, and then the Hungry Lumas. Like, how are you going to get to these bonus galaxies or get a cheeky six up or whatever it is? Just chuck one in. Have like dangle some more keys whilst you're at it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
The Pikmin are gonna fly you to the bonus galaxies, don't you know?
Don't
oh
even go
well,
there, man. Just don't even go there.
Super Mario Galaxy 3, we've got Olimar's ship rather than the Hungry Lumas. Do you know what I mean?
Well, other than the Easter eggs that apparently pissed us off, what Easter eggs like were your guys' favorite in the movie? Starting with you, Ryan.
Mr. Game and Watch was crazy. Like Mr. Game, I did not expect it at all. I wasn't even expecting a cameo in that moment, and it kind of shocked me that that's what they went with. And my friend that I was with was really confused about why I like jumped forward in my seat.
It's a stick figure. Why are you jumping
Yeah,
forward?
yeah. And so that was a really, really fun one. Post credit scene, we haven't discussed it. We got Daisy, which was seeded actually earlier in the film, which is like some of the best examples of foreshadowing in the entire franchise so far, unfortunately. But it's cool to have Daisy there. Um, yeah, a lot of them were just quite odd and thrown in. But I was surprised, like you said, Josh. We didn't get more boost stars because that's such a huge part of playing Galaxy. Is that you jump into boost stars constantly, you know. And I thought that would be more fun, but we get like one, which is okay. Yeah, there might be more that I didn't pick up on. I think my entire brain is just Pikmin right now. So yeah, Chris, what did you notice? Because you have a more keen eye for this than
Um,
I do.
I think yeah, Mr. Game and Watch. I was just like once again in my like small little group of like 10 people, the only one that I guess knew who even the character was on the screen, and just seeing like the moves and everything, like hitting Dry Bowser on the head. I loved it completely. I can't remember the dragon's name from Odyssey, but also seeing that was insane. And then this is more like a cameo that or Easter egg that got me excited, but more confused because during Yoshi's little like montage, we see Donkey Kong just terrorizing the people, and I was confused because we don't really ever hear of like Mario going back and forth, like to see his family and stuff. But we're seeing that either Donkey Kong just decides to stay there and terrorize them, like as like King Kong, or he's just going back and forth, which I don't know which one's worse, like staying there and terrorizing them or choosing to go and terrorize them. I can't tell. But obviously we know there's going to be a Donkey Kong spin-off, so it's like maybe that will dive into it a little bit. But yeah, the Gateway Galaxy with all the ships, that was quite cool. Because like you said, you got Samus's ship. I think there was another ship I noticed, but now I can't remember whose ship it was. My mind's completely blanking now. But then also getting to see Daisy in like the post credit scene. I don't know if I'm the biggest fan of the design at the moment. They'll probably fine tune it anyway for when the actual film gets made. Yeah, they'll probably fine tune it for when it gets made. Um, but like I think we'll probably get into it. But I have like a whole theory of what I want the third film to be about, and I don't know if it'll be interesting enough for kids. But I know that is what I want to see. Um,
Chris's dark take on the Mario Cinematic Universe
it's not,
is
it's not,
adult take.
it's not even a dark or like adult take. I'll say it quickly. I just because Daisy is like she has the one game where she's central, and it's the game where she's introduced in. And outside of that, all you see her in is sports games or party games. And I would love for the third film to like introduce like Wario and Waluigi as antagonists and have Daisy and have like a big like sports tournament that's like action packed or something because they've already done the Mario Kart Easter egg. They've already done like I guess like the Yoshi's Island Easter egg. It's clear we're not going to get a movie based on Yoshi's Island or anything like that, or loosely based on it. It'd be nice to like get whether it's just a small sports Easter egg or like a full scale sports thing. I want to see something like that in the third film.
Challenges. Let's do challenges with the
Challenges
Mario
Mario,
characters.
So
Luigi, and Daisy.
before before I get deeper into that, into like what could be coming in the franchise, I do want to touch on real quick my favorite Easter egg. It was actually one that was I don't even know if you can call it an Easter egg because it was like plain as day. It was Bowser Jr. going, it's time to meet your maker, and then just straight up playing Mario Maker. Like
Yeah.
by far my favorite thing, just absolutely sick in the way that they keep flashing back to that 2D screen and stuff. Oh my God. I was
Mm.
living for that. But yeah, getting into where the franchise is going from here, obviously we all think Star Fox is gonna
Yeah.
get its own movie. It is a little bit I don't know, unsettling that Donkey Kong was not here, and I would tend to think that's because he's gonna get his own project, but also how have we not gotten it yet? Like
It did get
there's no
copyright.
movement on it.
They
Did
have
it?
copyrighted it. I'm
Mhm.
pretty
Yeah,
sure. But there's like you
they
said,
might have.
nothing's been said about it.
Yeah, and so now it's like, okay, so are they doing a Donkey Kong and they're gonna do a Star Fox and like maybe another Mario? Like what Illumination, like what are you gonna like are you
Yeah.
gonna do all this? It's a little bit baffling. But yeah, like getting into what let's say that there is a third potential Mario movie. I think a lot of stuff is off the table because they're so quick to hop between all of these things. I think it does remain clear that it's got to be Waluigi and Wario, like no other choice. And yeah, we did the Mario Kart thing, so getting into sports, and then I think Ryan would be happy about getting into Paper Mario,
Mhm.
and getting into Mario and Luigi. But like I don't know where else you really go. Like there's not a lot left.
No, and that's quite weird, right? They've burnt through so much, especially with the amount of Odyssey references in this movie. You would
Yeah.
think they would do like the Super Mario Odyssey movie next, but they've kind of done a ton of it. I guess you could do Cappy and everything, but if it's anything like this, then Cappy's going to be locked in a cage for the whole movie while Marth from Fire Emblem joins the crew. It's out of nowhere. Yeah, it's really stranger to go. I think Star Fox to happen. I'd agree that Donkey Kong probably should have happened, but animated movies take 5 years to make, and they probably only started production after the last Mario movie, was confirmed to do very, very well. In terms of where the Mario movies go, I think we could see a similar, like the MCU have provided a blueprint of how to build a franchise, right? Like we got two Iron Man movies in Phase One, but we didn't get the next one for a good few. There's a good few movies in between Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3, right? Including the crossover. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get Mario 3 until after Smash Bros. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do a Donkey Kong where Mario and Luigi show up for a bit, and it's like, some crossover. And then they do the Star Fox, which is like their Guardians of the Galaxy kind of thing. And then they do maybe a Metroid, because there's rumors about that happening as well.
I mean, a Luigi's Mansion of King Boo would be great to see
There
as
you go.
well.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Like there is a lot they could do before they do the straight up next Mario 3, you know? Um, cool. So there's plenty of meat on the bone in terms of the Nintendo Cinematic Universe, which is why I think they were quick to introduce that in this film. I think they realized if we want to keep this going, we might need to expand our horizons a little bit. Um, but yeah, yeah. What do you think, Chris?
I've kind of already said my whole piece beforehand about what I'd love
Yeah.
to see in the third film. Um, but if anyone else wants to add on to what they want from the franchise.
Gosh.
It's maybe not what I want from the franchise. I think this is a very safe space just to add on to the Mr. Game and Watch discussion from before. Um, Obviously, I'm not like a novice on Nintendo. I'm not like an expert, and I will not lie. My video game outside of like FIFA and Minecraft, Call of Duty, you name it, those mainstream video games. Um, Pixels was a door into video games for me, and I cannot lie. When Luigi drew Mr. Game and Watch and he came to life, at first I thought it was a reveal that it was Cubert. Like the silhouette, like I recognized Mr. Game and Watch from somewhere. I've obviously seen the character before, but I fully thought he was about to become 3D and orange to resemble Cubert. So that was a false key jangling for me. I didn't get excited, but I thought, oh my God, it's the guy from Pixels. And then it
It's the
wasn't.
guy from Wreck-It Ralph.
And Wreck-It Ralph as well,
Wreck-It
yeah.
Ralph, yeah. Yeah.
Completely forgot about it. I genuinely thought, like I knew I'd seen Mr. Game and watched somewhere before, but I fully thought it was gonna be Cuba. Which is really bad on my part, but hey, people love Mr. Game and Watch, so
And with that, let's get into like some actual games, actual Nintendo games. I know Josh, you just got a Nintendo Switch 2 finally. Welcome to the club. What have you been playing?
I've been playing a lovely mixture of the Tomodachi Life demo. So those nearest and dearest will know I've made JD Vance and Aunt Gladys from Weapons. They are the first two residents on Popped Island. A third me still needs to be made. I don't know who. Could be anyone. And then the main game I've been playing is Super Mario Galaxy. So I wouldn't say I've been doing a speed run, but I've been playing it that much that I have basically gone through three boss fights already. And it's not like I'm trying to get through them as fast as I can. Like there's some galaxies on the game where I've got all the stars that are possible outside of like the speed comets and the challenges. So it's been a very fun replay. Obviously, I played both games on the Wii. So it's crazy how much you remember from a game that came out so long ago. And there's like little characters. Like I think watching Super Mario Galaxy, the little tree people, it was like unlocking memories. Like actually, I remember you, but I couldn't going into this film. I didn't expect to see you, so it made that film so much nicer. So I'm playing through that. I've got Mario Kart World as well that I got with the console that I'm looking forward to playing. And then I might try and have a look at some of the old games that are on there. But I'm intrigued by playing the Pokemon games as well, because that's sort of a franchise that I think I've mentioned it on a podcast before. I think I've only ever played Pokemon White. Like that is the extent, and the Pokepark games on the Wii as well, one and two. But other than that, never really touched Pokemon. But the sort of the quality level of Pokemon games now has me intrigued again. So I might dip my
Well,
toes in. I might dip my toes in.
I think you bought the wrong console if you want to play Pokemon.
Very interesting approach. I mean, Fire Red is on there. You can play Fire Red and Leaf Green, and those are quality games, but the rest of them you might. I mean, there's. Oh, we'll talk later about that. There's enough Pokemon to go around in this.
I mean, there's Pokopia. Pokopia
Yeah,
is
There
good.
is, yeah.
You'll get lost in Pokopia. You won't need to ever play an actual Pokemon game. Chris, how far are you into Pokopia?
You know what it is, and it happened with Animal Crossing, and I think I just need to be a better person. I start building and doing my own thing, and then as soon as I see what other people are doing, I'm like, I'm just not. I'm so like I don't mean anything. Like these people are so much better than me. How even happens in Minecraft, and I'm like, I just don't have like I somehow have the creativity to tell stories and to write stories, but I don't have the creativity to make a city in a game. Like if I play Sims, I can't like build or decorate a house. If I play Pocopia, I can't. I'm like I'm doing it my way, but as soon as I see someone else like create a whole entire city, like I saw someone in Pocopia made an underground like train station, and I was like, what? I could never do that if I even tried. I'd have to watch a tutorial on how to do that. But I think Pocopia is like it's a lot of fun. I think kind of like Animal Crossing, this come out in the right time period. Um, and surprisingly, it's the highest rated Pokemon game, which is huge. Considering they keep trying out like this open world stuff on the Switch for Pokemon and it keeps failing. Um, Even though I did like Legends Arceus, but yeah, Pokopia is fun. I need to get more into it. My Switch has been dead for like 2 weeks, so I need to actually charge it. I've also, if my friend watches this, because I probably will send this to him, I've kidnapped his like Fire Red thing and put it into my Switch, and he's not been able to play it for 2 weeks, and he keeps telling me, Chris, can you charge your Switch so I can play Fire Red? And I keep forgetting. But yeah, that's me on Pokopia.
Poor virtual game card. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Trapped in limbo. What a horrible fate. I mean, I find Pokopia so fascinating. Like, it's definitely not a flaw of the game, but it's one of those games where it's like, depending on your kind of routine and the way you play games, it can hit you completely differently. I think the game's a miracle. I think it's an absolute miracle. I can't believe it's taken this long just to do this. If they did this on the GBA, it would have been as big a success. I'm not even joking. I think it would have been you just do Harvest Moon with Pokemon. Now it's just Animal Crossing with Pokemon, right? And with the Minecraft element, it's a miracle because you get a really fresh style of gameplay for Pokemon mixed with the familiarity of like, oh my god, Charmander's here. Oh my god, it's Machamp. Oh my god, it's this guy. He's like, oh great, yeah, my guys are here. And like uncovering this lore and like the setup of the game, I think is so bold and interesting. And the more you discover about like what might have happened to the humans who have just disappeared from this version of Kanto, I think is fascinating. I was playing a couple of hours ago, and I came across a note that said, I've like it was someone saying I've heard about missions for humans to abandon the planet through to space. And I was like, I don't know if that actually happened, but the fact that is a like the bit of lore that they were thinking of doing that because the environment was getting that bad. I don't know if that's going to be true in the end, but it's fascinating. This makes you think about stuff. And like, it makes the world of Pokemon exciting again when it had become so formulaic. And the conversation around every Pokemon game is like poisoned by like, oh, they don't have the national dex, or oh, they couldn't be asked with this animation, or oh, this messes up the competitive scene. Oh, this messes up the IVs and the I'm resetting the game 600 times to get a shiny starter and stuff. And it's like people get so wrapped up in like the stuff around Pokemon that it's like, oh no, people are just playing this game for what it is and falling in love with the wonder and the mystery of Pokemon as a universe. That being said, it is an overwhelming game. It is so big. You are so free. Every time I log in, I have like 16 tasks that I just want to do. And then I go and do one and I get distracted. And it hurts my brain to play. And I have to be in tip top mental shape to log in and be prepared to be like, okay, Charmander, please don't be mad at me. I haven't built your house yet. I'm really sorry. I want to build it for you, but I've built two Pokemon centers so far, but I keep getting distracted with these side projects, keep coming across random things. I found the SS Anne, and I'm like, oh my God, this is the SS Anne. What happened to all these people? The ship is just here, shipwrecked. And I'm just like, it's just so much, right? To the point where it's made my gaming habits quite scattershot. So, like Josh, in the background, humming constantly in my brain is FIFA. So I'm just like, I think I'm a good few days of playtime into the new one already, um, which isn't healthy at all, but it does help me decompress after having to think so much in my life. Um, so it's helpful in that case. And then because Pokopia is so like sprawling, I've been, taking comfort in games that are quite familiar on linear. So FIFA is one of them, and the other one was like the other day, just randomly on a train journey, booted up a Metroid Zero mission, and I just ended up beating the whole thing in like 3 hours. Because I just love that game. It's so familiar to me, and it's just so I know that game like the back of my hand at this point, and it was just so satisfying just to run through that world at top speed, and yeah, it's a masterpiece of a game. And I've also been playing a little bit of Advance Wars, and I've been playing a bit of Luminous, and I was playing some Kirby Air Riders at my friend's stag party last week with like 6 people, and that was crazy and fun. Um, so yeah, it's all over the place right now, but I'm having a lot of fun.
Yeah, Pokopia, it's like it does the same thing that Stardew Valley does, right? It tells you like, oh, look at this, it's this cozy, quaint little game, and then you're just in the thick of it. There's like stuff happening everywhere. You got to do it a billion things. You got to think about it a billion things. You got to like, and maybe it's not intense as Stardew Valley in some aspects. You don't have to like min-max all of these economic things, but yeah, there's a lot going on. I mean, it's almost similar to like a Breath of the Wild or a Tears of the Kingdom, where you're doing something and then you just get distracted by something else and you kind of get lost in that, and then you get distracted by something else and you get lost in that. And it is pretty daunting. And so I don't think I could even go from that and be like, okay, I'm gonna play Metroid Zero Mission on the side. I don't think I could do that. I think I would need to play some like arcadey little game. I need to play Tetris. I need to play Res. I need to play something where I don't have to think outside of Pokopia. And then I'll get back to Pokopia when I'm, lucid again. But getting into like what Nintendo is going to be doing, we're kind of in a weird spot. Nintendo has been playing their cards, like holding them really close to their chest as of late. I think they learned, by the way, that everyone got burnt by the Metroid Prime 4 announcement. That was a long, what was it? Was it 7 years? Something like that?
Announced in 2016.
2016. Oh my God. So yeah, it was 8, 9 years. Yeah. Um, that's crazy. But I think they've learned a lot from that. They haven't been announcing things super far in advance. Like even back a couple of years ago when we got Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, we learned about that game in the summer and then like it came out 2 months later, which is crazy. Like that's insane. We got a whole Zelda game just announced and released within 2 months. And it looks like this year we're gonna get something like that. Everyone's kind of been waiting with bated breath for like a Nintendo Direct, and they keep teasing everyone with, oh, here's a partner showcase. Oh, here's Mario Galaxy Movie Direct, because that needs its own thing. But we haven't had like a full dedicated direct in a hot minute. And most of the big games have released now. What we do have coming that we know of is a new Fire Emblem. We've got, I mean, Tomodachi Life, that's out in only a couple weeks. And then we have Rhythm Heaven, which is like another tiny little game. It's not going to be anything big. But apart from that, we don't know like what's coming this holiday season, what's going to be the big game this summer. We do know, oh, we also know about the Splatoon spinoff that's going to be like a little single player thing. But there's a new report this week from VGC that there is allegedly a new Star Fox game in the works. Interesting timing. And as well as, I believe, an Ocarina of Time remake in the works. and that there is possibly no 3D Mario this year. So, what do you guys think about this? Like, where do you guys think maybe these releases could be specifically within the year? Like, what are your thoughts, starting with Chris?
Well, I think in terms of a new Star Fox, I don't know if it's something that we'll see maybe like this year. I think it might get announced this year for maybe like an early next year type of release. In terms of Zelda, that's obviously, if any truth to that, I think is a this year thing. And something that obviously I wanted to add on to that, I think I've been having a back and forth with my friend of mine, the same Fire Red one, about how he's been waiting for like a specially released Switch 2. I don't even know what you call them. It's like I'm blanking, but you know how the Switch had so many versions released for different games, and it was like would
Yeah,
have like
just like a
the
special
unique
edition.
design.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's been hoping for that for like a Pokemon, and I think Zelda might be the game where Switch 2 gets its first unique design like Switch 2. So that's kind of my thing with like a Zelda game on the way, whether it's this remake that's coming Ocarina of Time or like another like mainline Zelda game, but likely to be the remake if that's the case. And in sense of no 3D Mario game, that is sad news for me because I would love a new 3D Mario game. I believe in my heart there is one in the works currently. But God knows when that could even happen. Like if they'll bring that next year, I don't think they'll leave a year without a Mario game coming out. So that probably could happen next year. But I think out of all of them, the one that I'm like the news that excites me the most, I guess, is Star Fox because like Josh has mentioned before, like I've never played Star Fox ever. Like the most I know about him comes from Smash Bros. And I guess now the Super Mario Galaxy movie. So like the idea of like a brand new Star Fox game on the Switch 2, maybe there's mouse controls involved or something. It sounds pretty exciting. So like I'm looking forward to that.
No, I agree. I think a new 3D Mario would be incredible, but if it doesn't come this year, then I can stomach it. Um, it is interesting that like how long's it been since Odyssey? 2017, 9 years.
Yeah.
It's going to be 9 years at the end of this year. Um, it's funny how much we want that, but if you went 9 years without a Mario movie, I don't think anyone would really care. It shows like the standard of quality from Nintendo when it comes to Mario games versus the Mario movie. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Like how they when they pivot to movies, it's like the quality doesn't matter as long as you make money. When it comes to Mario games, it's like no, we want this to be good. Like it matters that Mario games are good. I find it interesting. Anyway, in terms of the rest of this year, I agree with Chris in a certain sense because like Star Fox, a new Star Fox screams February, doesn't it? Like it feels like a February. I can't really see maybe a September, but that feels like Splatoony. But that's
I
just
mean, where do you think Fire Emblem falls? Like, because that feels like a February, right?
that's a very good point.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The August, I don't know, but I agree. Like Riley had said, that Nintendo are very much into the short turnarounds from release to announcement now, because not only are people burned from the long waits in gaming, and it's a nice breath of fresh air. I think it's easy to keep a hype cycle going when you announce something in June and release it in September, where it's like the excitement peaks at the right time, if that makes sense. Um, so I think for Star Fox, I can really see that happening at any point. But the most important thing, I think, is the fact that Nintendo are using the films to promote the games. I think, unlike a lot of companies, Nintendo are always looking for ways to make their side or more niche franchises more popular because they understand that they have IP that's decades old that could be maximized more in a very clinical business sense, right? Metroid has been around 40 years this year, right? But Metroid games don't sell very well, even though it's like a foundational to a certain genre of games. So what they tried to do was like, okay, let's release a Metroid game for the Switch. And the Switch, there used to be a thing called the Switch effect, right? Remember Nintendo fans talking about the Switch effect, where like an old franchise would come to the Switch and sell more copies than it ever did before.
Mhm.
Well, I think Nintendo were slightly let down when it came to the sales of Pikmin 4 and Metroid Dread, and maybe Metroid Prime Remastered as well. And I think they realized that just having these games on a new console isn't enough. They need to make these characters loved by the public. And cinema is their way to do that. For Nintendo, cinema is an ad campaign, right? Their artistic in focus is on the games, right? When it comes to cinema, it's about advertising. So I wouldn't be surprised if by the next time a new Metroid comes around, we've had a Samus cameo in some kind of film, right? That's going to contradict what my predictions are, but like that could possibly be a thing. But now that we have Star Fox and release a Star Fox game, it's synergy, right? When we get ready for the new Zelda movie, is that in next year or this
Yeah,
year?
next year.
Next
It's
year,
next
right?
year. Next.
I wouldn't be surprised if we get a new 2D Zelda game or a significant remake. Maybe they're doing Ocarina this year, maybe they do Majora's next year, something like that. I think they are trying, and Zelda's not niche obviously, but more applies to Star Fox and Pikmin and Metroid, where they're trying another, using cinema as another avenue to be like, okay, let's take this IP we've had for decades and try and make it something. Maybe Riley, maybe. You know what I'm going to say?
Chibi Robo?
GB Robo movie
Get
comes comes after like
me in there.
yeah, you see like you're watching the Star Fox movie and a little guy runs across the floor somewhere and it's like, hey, who took out the electricity? And it's just, it cuts to
Chibi
GB
Robo can't
Robo.
fly a spaceship.
I was gonna say
Exactly.
a small little prediction from what you said of the whole like cross promotion of like Nintendo movies and the games is it's probably not gonna happen because we've not really gotten any DLC for this game. But I would love sometime this year to get some sort of Mario Kart World DLC that connects to Mario Galaxy movie in some way. It's not gonna happen, but I would love for it to happen. I don't know what's going on with Mario Kart. There's been such a lack of DLC, such a lack of anything. It's a bit weird because Mario Kart 8 got so much and this game's get absolutely nothing. But Summer Game Fest is soon. Xbox has already announced their presentation. Maybe Nintendo has something to show at Summer Game Fest, or maybe they're just waiting until for like later after summer. I don't know.
They'll do a June thing. I'll be if they don't do a June thing, then it's panic stations, right? Because
Yeah,
then we're Wii Uing in a very dangerous way. I think Pokopia has put things into
or maybe they announce news through the Nintendo app,
yeah,
which is what
Nintendo
they've been
Direct.
doing
Yeah,
recently.
but I
Yeah.
think without Pokopia being like a system seller, I think we'd be like more panicked about no 3D Mario this year.
Mm.
With the Zelda report, I think
Yeah.
that kind of allays fears a bit. But the fact that Pokopia has been a thing where it's like, okay, this has made the Switch 2 cool. It's made it a desirable product. We're in the clear for now. It's not going to Wii U where like you have a first year of a console where there's no one sticking point where it's like, oh yeah, this is why you need to get this console, you know? Um, so it's safe from that. Um, but yeah, I forgot where I was going with that, so I'll throw it back to Riley.
So do you know what the last Star Fox game was?
Star
Anyone?
Fox Zero.
With Wii
Nope.
U one.
Nope.
Right?
What was the last Star Fox game?
Was it on the 3DS?
You gotta play some 4D chess here to remember this.
Why? I mean, he was obviously in Smash Ultimate.
It was Star Fox 2.
Star
Star
Fox 2.
Fox 2 came out on the Super Nintendo Mini, the classic.
I mean, come on, like,
Oh.
That was the last Star Fox game. So I'm just saying, what if this next one we're getting a Wii U Classic Edition? We're getting
that's
I
what they.
buy it in a heartbeat. Give me Nintendo Land. We need Nintendo Land back.
Yeah, hell yeah. I'd buy a Wii U. No one else would. It'd be us
Uh,
two.
um, so with that, I guess gazing into the unknown of what's coming in the next year, I asked you guys to prepare three predictions for what Nintendo might be releasing in the, well, it doesn't even have to be something they're releasing, just three Nintendo predictions for the next year, like through Q1 of 2027. So we'll just kind of go one by one and maybe just spit one out at a time. If Ryan, you want to go first, and then Chris.
Yeah, my first one is my most desired one. It's a bit of hope, bit of like it's time. Metroid 6. It's been, I think, 4 years since Dread, and it's so good. What that's still one of my all-time favorite Nintendo Direct moments, where you just see Samus drop down, black screen, Metroid 5, like just incredible. If they do that, if they pull that again in June, because that was a similar situation where it was a June announcement to an October release. If they
Yeah.
did it again this year, cinema, I'm happy. I'm
Do
good.
you think it's more likely we get a Metroid 6 or that we get a remake of an old one?
I think both could happen. I think the remake could happen next year because Super Metroid is next. We haven't had a Metroid remake since Samus Returns on the 3DS, and that was Metroid 2 being remade. I think they could do Super Metroid at some point. There have been rumors around, but none of them seem right. The rumor that went around said that it would be a pixel graphics remake of Super Metroid, which doesn't make any sense because it's already a pixel art game. You wouldn't remake it in the exact same style. If you're going to remake it, you do it in the Mercury Steam Dread kind of way.
Yep.
But yeah, I think if they have a good idea for Metroid 6, I think it could happen this year. Um, Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed that they strike while the iron's hot and people have Metroid somewhat in like the taste of Metroid in their mouth from Prime 4 in some way. Yeah.
Chris, what about you? What's your first prediction?
My first prediction is Pokopia has been doing really well. Tomodachi Life has already been getting a lot of talk and it's not out yet. I think Nintendo are hiding an Animal Crossing release that's going to be coming soon. I believe it's gonna happen. Maybe I'm having my hopes like way too high for this, but I just feel like there's an Animal Crossing game that's just bound to release soon of all these different type of similar like life sim games that are coming out. And I guess the one thing that kind of debunks my whole thing is the fact that they've just released DLC for New Horizons. But I'm just really hoping for it. Like, I'd love to go back to like a city landscape with Animal Crossing. I think that could be really fun on the Switch. Um, Maybe it's not like it will come out soon, but maybe an announcement like next year for it could be quite cool. Um, but that's my first prediction. Maybe like a very far-fetched prediction, but Animal Crossing on the Switch 2 is my first one.
Listen, you sound crazy. You're insane. But guess what? So are Nintendo. Like Nintendo is a company of weirdos. They're so strange. We said
The
it for
devil works hard,
Nintendo.
but
Yeah,
but Nintendo works harder.
exactly.
Yeah.
Nintendo is a company full of people who just don't make logical decisions. They just do stuff sometimes, like make an alarm clock or release two life sims and two back-to-back months, you know? So why not? They might release. They did like DLC for Mario Kart 8, like at the end of the Switch One's life cycle, even though it came out at the start. Like they do weird stuff all the time. It could happen genuinely, and I do believe that they probably work on the sequel to every major franchise as soon as the last one released. I wouldn't
They
be
released
surprised.
a flower that talks to you and tells you the wrong time. They'll do anything.
Exactly. They literally will. So I like how you're thinking, Chris, because it makes no sense, and that's exactly what we should be. That's exactly how we should be
I
thinking.
mean, look, when you come back to me, my next prediction also makes no sense, but we'll
Sick.
come back to that.
So I'll say going off of Chris's, because this is where I think it's almost they are two different things. Because Pokemon is like this, it's this whole other entity almost. But I do think it would be kind of shooting themselves in the foot because my first prediction, which is also my most boring prediction, maybe, um, is that Pokopia will get like an actual kind of update plan announced. I don't know if that will look like it'll be free updates over time or if there's going to be actual paid DLC or what, but I think we're actually going to get like a plan laid out by the end of the year.
I think that'd be lovely. I mean, it feels like a bit of a layup, like just to be like, here's another city for you to do, go for it. Um, but I mean, and Pokemon games historically do quite significant DLC. At least they try to. So yeah, I can definitely see that happening.
I think that could be likely because I don't know whether what I saw was true or not, but some people found some things in terms of like they might have been a lot bigger than what it initially is in the game. So I think there is room for updates for Pokopia coming rather soon, especially considering, people put sink hours and hours into that game. So it's going to get to a point where it's like people are going to need something more to do.
Josh, do you have any predictions? You and your
Oh, honestly, me and my Nintendo coded brain, I think I mentioned it before. Obviously, I played WarioWare on the Wii. I could not tell you what the name of that game was. I'd like to say there's another one. I've been informed there is already a Switch one. I would not be against a new one. Do you know what? Why don't we get a Poker Park 3? I'd quite like that. I tell you what, if I'm gonna dive into the Pokemon world again, I would not mind Poker Park 3. Um, or maybe yeah, I'm just trying to think. The
maybe
games,
Pokemon FIFA?
yeah, sod it, yeah,
Yeah, why
yeah.
not?
FC Pokemon 27. Sod an open world FIFA. Let's get Pikachu and Oshawott and
Hitmonlee,
Snivy. Yep. The little beaver one that was in Poker Park 1. Bidoof, is he called Bidoof? Bidoof?
Bidoof, Bidoof,
Bidoof. Yeah, get him
hundreds
in
of
there.
Bidoofs.
Just a squad of Bidoofs. Yeah, I don't know, like I said, I mainly played the DS and the 3DS, but obviously I think just anything would be fine for me. A new Wario, I'll say Poker Park. I'd like a new Poker Park.
Ryan, moving on to your second prediction. What we got?
It's one that the fans predict every single year and never happens because we are doomed to live this life of nothingness. But Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, I'd love a new Mystery Dungeon game. It's another franchise that they tried to bring back and, give it the Switch effect of boosting it, but it just didn't work, I don't think. And I think a lot of mainstream, like it's one of those sub franchises with Pokemon that never kind of broke through to general fans of Nintendo or gamers in general. Um, and I think that they did a remake of the first game a few years ago now, maybe in 2023, and it just didn't pop off again. And maybe with the fact that we have so many roguelikes now, and that's a genre that's really on the up, that we could be the right moment to do a Pokemon mystery dungeon because we've seen it with Pokopia where life sims are so popping right now. People love those kinds of games, and they've hit at the right moment. Maybe they could do the same with Mystery Dungeon if they think that way at all. But that even if it's a series that has its cult fans, but I'm not sure how much Pokemon are interested in appealing to cult fans at this point. Um, I'd love to see it. It's due. It's about time. It's one of the best Pokemon spin-offs in my opinion. You can read my Pokemon spin-off list on IGN, a list that nobody got mad at all. But yeah, I'd love to see that.
Sticking in the Pokemon theme, Gen 10 is when we're seeing a black and white remake on the Switch 2, and it's not going to be a brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl mistake. It's going to be a properly made black and white remake. And no, actually, sorry, the what I was going to say next didn't make any sense. I was going to say somehow they should include black and white too. I've never played those games, so I actually don't know how those work. But if it's possible to combine those two games into one, then do it. I think that's the best way to go about it, considering they've taken this long to make this remake. Um, but if I'm correct, I don't think we got a remake this generation. Um, and normally we get like a remake a generation, kind of. So yeah, Gen 10, black and white remake, properly made Pokemon game, not no brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, half-ass work.
Mm.
I think that's more likely than my last prediction.
Yeah, it's absolutely next. It's the next one up. Um, it would be difficult because I think aesthetically, Black and White is kind of the peak of the franchise, and it would be very difficult to make something that looks better than it.
Mm,
Especially since Pokemon have gone 3D, they haven't quite looked quite as good. Um, but the idea of combining Black and White 1 and 2 is interesting because I think there's a 3 or 5 year time gap between the games, and that would be quite interesting. But it's similar to what they did with Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, where they kind of integrated Emerald stuff into kind of like the post game with another chapter afterwards. And I could see them doing something similar. A lot of room for creativity with that. I love Black and White. I only played them last year for the first time, both 1 and 2, and I fell in love with Unova so hard. I think those games are incredible. Um, so yeah, absolutely would love to see that. It makes sense to release at the same year as the new generation as well. So I can definitely see that happening. Those games are so cool. I just wonder if they will have the guts to stick with the, no other Pokemon for any other region in the first game, just
yeah.
only the Unova Pokemon. I wonder if they have the guts to do that. But yeah, love that show. Yeah.
I've got another Pokemon prediction.
Okay.
Even though I already did a Pokopia one, but that was a bit lazy. Um, I think we will get Ruby and Sapphire ported within the next year. I mean, at the latest, Pokemon Day, obviously, that's when we
Yeah.
got, you know, Fire Red and Leaf Green. But maybe they'll surprise us. Maybe they'll release it even sooner. Like who knows? Could be the holiday season or something. I don't see what's keeping them from doing it. Just cranking those Game Boy games out in there. Yeah. And then what is your third prediction, Ryan?
Quickly on that, do you think they'll
Yeah.
do Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire because they did Fire Red and Leaf Green?
No,
No?
I don't think they're gonna do
No.
it. No, I
No
think
way in
they're
hell.
gonna. No, they're not doing
Do you
that.
think they'll skip from Gen 1 to Gen 3?
What do you mean? Yeah, yeah, I absolutely do. I think they're just porting GBA games.
Okay, okay, fair enough. Okay, I get it. I was
Yeah.
wondering what the thread was, but yeah, GBA makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, they're literally just GBA games. I mean, they have the emulator. I believe someone mentioned that in the files it maybe mentioned potential connectivity with a Ruby
Brilliant.
Sapphire release. So I just
Okay.
think it's a no-brainer. Can't be that tough for them to do, and they're just going to be rolling in dough. Because if you look at the top charts on there right now, it's still Fire Red and Leaf Green towards the top. So
Yeah, it would be difficult
yeah.
for me to say no to that one. Um, my final one is very much hope casting. But it kind of feeds into the Nintendo are crazy kind of thing. We know that Zelda's 40th anniversary came and went without much of anything, but I think we're going to get a random like splurge of Zelda games towards the end of this year, start of next year for no reason. And obviously, we have the Ocarina thing potentially happening. I think they might. I'd like to see a remake of the Minish Cap. I think it's one of those things where it's just like niche enough to where they don't have to commit a ton of resources to it, but it's something nice just to fill a gap in a release schedule. Where it's like, oh yeah,
Hmm.
this month we're getting Minish Cap remake, remastered. Even you don't even have to do a full Link's Awakening thing, or you just use the Link's Awakening assets and make a 4K Minish Cap square like pixel for pixel. Just do the
Yeah.
exact same way just to fill a thing. I can see that happening. Yeah.
Chris, what about you?
I, to be fair, my third prediction, I realized I said earlier when talking about something else, which was just the Mario Kart DLC thing, situation thing. But I think I'm gonna change that to just talking about Splatoon Raiders for a minute because we've not gotten any news on that. I also think it's quite strange that they've announced the whole game through the app. I think it's strange that they're announcing anything through the app because most people don't notice. And they've also made it weird in terms of like, I don't know, like taking pictures from there and stuff. It's a weird situation. But in terms of Splatoon Raiders, I think not that like it's going to be a successful game, but I think it's going to be interesting to see how it does for Nintendo, making a single player experience from what is widely known as a multiplayer game where you play with friends and compete against other people. But I'm interested to see that. I'm sure we'll get a trailer 2 soon and a release date with that. That's definitely going to be this year, 100%. That we get Splatoon Raiders. I'm just curious to see how Splatoon continues as a franchise, to see where you can go from that because I don't want to see Splatoon turn into like, Call of Duty for Nintendo where it's just the same thing every game that they release. But I'm excited to see the future of Splatoon on the Switch. So it's nice to see that they're doing a single player experience. And I kind of hope we can get more spin-off games if this does well for Splatoon. Um, Nothing like Pokopia, but like just something unique and different for Splatoon that makes you go like, oh, that's actually creative and that works within the confines of Splatoon.
Splatoon extraction shooter. That's
Splatoon
what we
Extraction
need.
sure could work. It could work. It could work.
Who needs arc raiders? Who needs marathon? We all want Splatoon
Splatoon.
extraction. Yeah. Um, so for my final prediction, I think this is probably the biggest prediction out of all of ours, but I don't know that it's the boldest because it is actually fairly, like, probably more realistic than anyone realizes. I think 100% we get Smash Bros. Announced. 100%. Because we are in the longest Super Smash Bros. Drought that we've ever been in. Like, literally, game to game release, we are in the longest period in the franchise's history. Like it's got to be happening. And like Kirby Air Riders already came out last year. Obviously, Sakurai was working on that. And so I don't know that I would expect him to do something like on the scale of Ultimate again. Like it could be something where it's like a reinvention of it. It could be more creative and maybe a little smaller. But I think we're at least getting it announced. I think it has to happen.
I think you're thinking Smash Bros. To Smash Bros. And not Sakurai to Sakurai.
That's true too. And like I think he was burnt out by Smash Bros. So I don't think we're gonna get anything big like anyways. I think it's gonna be smaller. So I still think I still think they're gonna announce it at least. I think it has to happen.
I can see a Nintendo Switch 2 edition, but I can't see it.
Uh,
I
gosh.
don't I don't think I
Can you
don't think
imagine
Nintendo
they
gave up
announce a
Smash
new
Bros.
Fighters Pass with a Switch 2 edition? How bummed everyone would be. Can you imagine the outrage? Oh my God.
Can I quickly jump in before we move on? Because in
Go
my
ahead.
my little brain, I was thinking, oh, let's cast my mind back to when I played the DS, and I remembered, and I'm fuming because I have just Googled it. I was going to say I remember the Professor Layton games. I was like, oh, I wonder when the last one to come out was. But obviously there's meant to be one coming out this year, so that was my prediction. Um, do you know what I said? Pokepok 3. I'd love a Galaxy 3. I don't know if they'd do it, but in terms of synergy and it's been so long since a 3D Mario game that wasn't just a report of a 2D game from the Wii U or the Switch. I wouldn't mind a Super Mario Galaxy 3. I think it would work. There's that added synergy and there's yeah, that'd be great. That's my thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Cubert could be in the game as well. You know, I'm sure they could work out some licensing deal. Super Mario Galaxy 3 starring Cubert. He could be
Hubert and his
kidnapped.
picky bits.
Hubert could be sat there, you know, with a hungry Luma, eating picky bits, whatever they do. Um, Transform, and Cubert could be kidnapped by King Boo. I think it'd be very cool to have
Yeah,
a non-Bowser antagonist, maybe. Who knows? But yeah, picky bits, Cubert, and um,
Williams.
all the Lumas. Yep. Thank you very much, first of all, to Ryan and Chris, two sensational guests. So thank you very much for coming on. Where can people find you both?
Yeah. You can get me on Twitter at my name Ryan Gore Gaur, and yeah, follow my writing from there.
Yeah, go read his IGN list and get angry.
Yeah. My my mentions are in desperate need of more angry people. Please.
You can find me on Twitter, Luminous Dagger on Twitter, Christopher Rates on Instagram, and Christopher Rates on TikTok when I occasionally post interview bits on there. But that's where you can find all my stuff.
You can find me on Twitter as usual at Geekstash. And I'm on Instagram as well. I believe it's at the Geekstash. I think Geekstash was taken. So yeah.
The real official Geek Stash. You can find me on all socials, Josh _Jones. Don't forget as well, if you've really enjoyed what you've seen from Popped, you can check us out on the website, popnews.com. We've got Chris's review, which should be live at the time of upload. You can check out all our stuff on the website as well as our YouTube. We've got some stuff for HBO Max. We are going to be talking next episode. There's a busy month of TV. It feels like a great time to be a TV fan. We're hopefully going to be talking all things The Boys season 5. We've got a brand new Malcolm in the Middle revival, as well as the Chris, you want to hold up your t-shirt again? Plug the. We've got the third
HBO Max.
season of Euphoria dropping on Sky and HBO Max, as well as a brand new Star Wars spin-off, Maul Shadow Lord. So please make sure you are following if you do not want to miss that episode. Thank you very much for listening. We've been PoppedCast, and we'll see you really soon.